Hey there guys, and welcome to Barrel Peaks at Europa Universalis IV. This has been one of my sort of big hyped up release of the year. Just the whole year, like, it says something about how much I love Paradox games that even in a year, well, we've got stuff like GTA 4 coming out, when I say GTA 4, GTA 5 coming out, and Saints Row 4, and we've got all these new consoles and everything, that what really catches my interest the most is an intense grand strategy game about the Renaissance. Yeah. But, yeah, to sort of, not to cloud this, but to sort of explain my bias there. I really love this period of history. And on top of that, Paradox grand strategy games are top-notch. I really, invested a decent, solid amount of time into both Victoria 2 and Crusader Kings 2. And I've got all the DLC for both those games. I mean, we're talking faces, music, shields, the whole shebang. So I'm big on my Paradox games, just to declare that on there. But yeah, obviously this is a video about my sort of impressions of this game, an hour or so in. And I've got to say, it definitely leans more to being along your sort of alley if you're more used to and prefer the sort of Victoria 2, this is the state and you manage the state thing, than if you like the sort of Crusader Kings 2 method of like, it's a bit like The Sims because there's all these people and they have all their traits and then you manage the people as opposed to managing the country, and you manage the country by proxy of managing the states. But yeah, let's sort of go in a bit to discuss this further. I'm gonna pick England, I think, because they're a pretty good nation for just kicking it. Actually, I might pick Castile for the sake of this sort of intro, because we can do some warring and I can start to explain things. Obviously, now we just got to initialize the game. That's how one works. Surprisingly short load times there. It's unlike normal sort of strategy games. The heavy load time is sort of at the intro. Unlike, say, Civilization 5, where you've got to have the hefty intro load time hidden behind the introduction cutscene, and then on top of that, you've got like a hefty load time into the game. These aren't huge games. Like, you've only got a couple of seconds of initializing game setup. But yeah, just to explain all this, because obviously before we even start the game, got to explain all these things. Obviously, I've currently got hints up still, because still got plenty to learn about this game. But yeah. Obviously, same as Crusader Kings 2. You've got your map mode buttons. And obviously your menu stuff. Political map mode is pretty much the go-to thing, so you can see what the hell's going on. And, obviously, at first glance, this doesn't look too far from Crusader Kings 2. Because Crusader Kings 2 is basically the most accessible Paradox grand strategy game. By quite a long shot. As someone who has played Victoria 2 and prefers that game, that's still not an accessible game. That's you've got to pay attention and have a couple of try and goes to see what's going on. With Crusader Kings 2, you can begin to grasp what's happening a bit faster with that game. And this is obviously sort of following the Crusader Kings 2 vein. This is it's an attempt by Paradox to make a Europa Universalis game that's pretty accessible, as well as obviously update it, because it's been at least 4 years, maybe, at least, since Europa Universalis 3. So that game's pretty dated. They got all the new Clausewitz engine stuff. So you have these nice clouds and everything looks quite sharp, and there's all the trees and buildings and things. So graphically, it's pretty much got the same graphics as you'd expect from Crusader Kings 2. It's nice enough. It's got a lovely map style. If you're going to spend hours and hours staring at it, assuming you're into the game and you want to play it. And obviously, yeah, we've got these notifications that say, oh, you need to do things. Like, no mission selected. Because you get to choose a mission. A bit like you had the aims for people in Crusader Kings 2. Where you had to, like, say, oh, well, I want to make my person good at military. So I'll do all these military things to sort of be involved. Obviously, we have these missions where you can do things as a state. To do things. So, I can spread my culture to Vizcaya, because they have a different culture from the main culture in Castile. Or I can form an alliance with Portugal, which is obviously the green state here, for those of you that don't know geography particularly well. and, form an alliance with them to have things. Or finish the Reconquista, which historically, there's basically Muslims came in, invaded Spain. They had all that nice Spain stuff. And then slowly but surely, over the course of a couple of 100 years, the Christian Spanish kings managed to fight back off the Muslims to the point where here, in 1444, there's basically only like Granada left as Muslim and everywhere else is nice and Catholic. I think for fun, I'm going to say finish the Reconquista is my goal. Because it's a pretty solid way to go there. My truce will expire in 4 years, but I don't care because they're infidels and I'm not going to go that far in this peak set because it's an impressions video. I want to keep it quite short, so I'm talking lots. There's basically a disputed succession thing as well, where obviously we're in Crusader Kings 2. It's kind of just you got married to people and you tried to influence where your ruler sat in regards to different kingdoms, or where say your child sat in regards to different kingdoms, in order to try and negotiate your way into inheriting certain lands, etc., etc. With this game, obviously, as it's not about personalities, it's about the state. You can involve yourself in disputed successions because you can say, well, let's have royal marriages between the two countries. But it's not a case of you go, well, I want my daughter who is good with intrigue to marry into this state, and then I will use her as the spy master of that state to negotiate my way into assassinate. No, it's just you have your court marriage ties so you can exploit them into like inheriting and succeeding things. And you can say, well, we have a claim on the throne now. Our nation can invade your nation because we have a royal marriage claim on your throne. And, there's obviously a lot of countries right now that have that situation. With Castile, you got a pretty good position because you've got, you've got some of the sort of Italian holdings that Spain could get. But at the same time, you've got scrolling through it. You've got Navarra up here. It's a tiny little state. You've also got Portugal. This big old state. So obviously I'll just send Portugal a nice royal marriage request and send Navarre a nice royal marriage request. So they're pretty weak. And obviously your diplomatic actions, I want to say obviously, your diplomatic actions, so certain things like marriage or improving relations with countries are limited by how many diplomats you have. You can't just go, well, everybody go talk to these people and we'll all be friends. No, you are limited by what you have and how long it takes them to go off. As you can see over here, on the outliner, which I've got set to default options only. This is the base. Obviously, it's telling me that my diplomats are away for a week, basically, doing things. And I've got my merchants off, and they're collecting from trades in France and Aragon, this country, the other bit of Spain. And, my armies are there, and my navies are here as well. The Armada, and the Flota del Murcia. And there's my colony. It's quite a small colony, down here in the Canary Islands. See, we don't know this world. It's beyond what we know. So it's a cool map paper thing. And, yeah, that's sort of the outliner, and the diplomacy things. And, loosely the merchants. So you can just send them off to certain places to go do trade, get your money in. There's also missionaries you can send off if you don't have the right religion somewhere. Or more so if you're going to go and colonize somewhere, you can send your missionaries off to go and obviously make that state whatever you want it to be. Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, whatever it is you've got going for your state. Yeah. There's also a bit like the Council in Crusader Kings 2. Because I'm going to compare this game a lot to Crusader Kings 2 for the sake of people because quite a lot of people have played that game. I can compare it a lot more to that than, say, Civilization 5, which isn't really like this game. It's just kind of grand strategy is the step up from Civ 5, and this game is a lot more accessible. So it's better for people that have only played Civ 5, or Civ 4, whichever Civ game. But this is obviously very comparable to things like Crusader Kings 2, or Vittoria 2, and things like that. But yeah. You have 3 slots for advisors, a bit like you had the 5 council positions in Crusader Kings 2. But these are kind of, it's more about just looking at what they're going to bring to you. Like, let's look at these 3 guys. I can either increase my national tax modifier to get more money in, reduce the cost of increasing stability, which is this factor, which kind of, it's to do with the revolt risk of your provinces and other things like what your tax income is and your trade income and whether people can bring spies in or not. It's basically, is your country a good, stable country, or is it a country that could collapse at any time and have people revolting and things? And you can use the administrative power points, these things, which is what these advisors represent, to increase or not decrease. You can increase it. It decreases with certain events over time, anyway. Or I can change the I can reduce the cost of administrative technology, which is in a more traditional strategy game approach than Crusader Kings 2, which is a lot more just wait and see if technology increases and let that be. It's a situation where you have advisors that help you get points for administrative power, diplomatic power, military power. Now you use these points for different things, obviously. Whatever it may be that you want to use. Say you want to like increase diplomacy or something, or you want to like annex stuff or send military advisors off to reduce revolt risks and things like that. Or, you know, to do with the ideas as well. You might get later on in the game where you can use ideas and they represent either administrative, diplomatic or military and they cost points there. But yeah, you basically gather up these points to increase technology, which allows you to do more and more things like get more buildings or more units or increase like certain stats to do with your country, or more ideas, or get more like monarchy representations in republics and tribes and things. But yeah, there's trade. What I was talking about with the merchants, you can go off and send off to see people. Here's a more Victoria 2-ish situation, where you've got your economy and you can balance it by reducing incomes and check what incomes you've got, reducing expenses and see what incomes you've got coming in. And obviously it's slightly Crusader Kings 2-ish diplomacy options. It's obviously more to do with talking to the state than the ruler. But you can offer them alliances or guarantee their safety and independence, or enforce peace with another country, or increase your relations, or insult them, or send warnings to people if they declare war on them. The dynastic options is a bit more Crusader Kings 2-ish because it's royal marriages and vassalizations and claiming their throne based on the strength of their future successions and whether you have a marriage with them. And there's obviously like spy actions, which used to be the sort of espionage things, but they're just covert actions listed here. And you can do things like send them gifts and war subsidies and things. And there's obviously access options where you can ask for the right to have military access and things. So not too far. But yeah, let's just hire some advisors. I'll go with this guy because I like taxes. And obviously it costs money to hire these people, and you have to pay monthly to deal with it. I'm going to take this guy because better relations over time works for me. And I'll hire this guy because military technology is useful to me as well. But yeah, let's look at the economy tab to see if we can't balance things out. Advisors are quite costly, as you can see. The top guy is costing me quite a bit, but that's how that one works. Now you can reduce your army maintenance, obviously, to try and balance things out, but it reduces the morale increase of your armies, so it's not as nice. It means you're not as prepared for war, obviously. But if push comes to shove, you can do things like raise war taxes or take out loans. It's a lot more progressing towards that sort of this is the state thing going on. I'm going to decrease army maintenance to about 5 to try and progress towards balancing the books. I went past 5. Oops. And I'm going to decrease fleet maintenance as well. But obviously that decreases your trade power with the light ships, which are, you saw trade ships, and that's how that one goes. And I'm going to decrease my colony maintenance a little bit, even though it decreases your sort of growth in the colony as well. But I think I've just about covered everything regards to just having things paused. So I think what we could do with covering now quickly, because, you know, there's only one real thing that I haven't covered yet that could probably do with covering. Because obviously I personally in my sort of 4 or 5 hours so far with this game, which is obviously not enough to nearly know the game properly, or to judge the game properly. This is very much the nature of first impressions, but with a grand strategy game. There's still way more that I'm going to learn. Hint, hint, you should watch my Let's Play to see me learning things properly. Cough, cough. But yeah, I'm, you know, kind of rolling with what information I have. I haven't tried espionage much because I haven't got so far in that I can do things like that. I need to do things like that. I haven't tried economic actions too much to try and make people like me more or things, but military. I've got military experience and I can show you how that one works. As opposed to Crusader Kings 2, which was just raise peasant armies and then exploit them, this is a situation more where you have to actually build an army. There's the sort of production interface here. There's buildings, which are predicated on your research, as I was discussing. The sort of technology increases based on the powers. But yeah, you have to produce units, land units and naval units. It's not just you raise them from nowhere. And there's still mercenaries to hire, but obviously they aren't necessarily that great. It's very much you have to actually be smart enough to remember to produce these units and pay to produce these units and then pay the maintenance on them, which is the sort of economic balancing act. And, you know, you've got to remember to keep your units strong. But at the same time, there's obviously the manpower statistic relies on how much you reinforce your armies every turn, or every year, should I say, and month and things. And essentially, you might lose units from your armies in war, but as long as they don't get completely destroyed, then you're okay. You can still regain your you can still reinforce your armies, you just have to send them off a bit. And take them back to a good region where there's enough people to reinforce. But yeah, I mean, yeah, let's break the truce, because we're scumbags. Okay, let's wait 7 to 8 days to get my diplomats back. See, we entered a royal marriage with 2 different countries. Aren't we great? Now my diplomats are back. I said pause, damn it. Portugal offers us an alliance. An alliance offer from Genoa. Everyone loves me now. Yep. Let's take back Granada. Yeah, see, I reduced stability. Probably pretty much to the bottom, because I'm breaking the truce. Just reducing stability like that is pretty wild, and it's not the best idea in actual play of the game. Like that's not smart. But obviously I am playing this for the sake of showing things off, showing mechanics. This would be how you'd increase stability. So you get enough administrative points and you say, yep, I want to drag it back up the scale so I'm not an absolute terrible person. Harsh treatment for these peasants, because it's not just you have to wait for them to rebel on Crusader Kings 2. You can actually say, yep, treat them badly. Deal with them. Yeah. This will probably be the final sort of showing off bit of the Let's Play. So the sort of impressions video, my barrel peaks that video. But let's send some ships out here. And there's naval leaders and army leaders and things. I probably should have tried to apply some actual leaders. I have a military leader to put on the army. I don't have any naval leaders. I don't think I have the resources to make one. Oh, no, I do. Yeah, I've given them an admiral now, because admirals cost diplomatic power and generals cost military power. But that's that. Yeah. So we're kind of just sending people off to go and fight. Yeah, Tripoli have entered a military alliance with our enemies, and we've got a diplomat home, and we won that fight. Obviously, yeah, you know, battles work pretty much the same as they did in Crusader Kings 2. You just attack people in the same land. The game will admittedly tell you what the dice rolls and things are like, so different statistics like shock tactics and the dice roll that you get, because there's still some element of luck and things. Influence things, so it kind of takes it sort of turn by turn in working out the calculations of what it's doing. As opposed to it just being, herp de derp, you have more numbers, so that's that. It does explain what's going on a bit better now this time. As opposed to just you have 20,000 men, they have 10,000 men, yet you lose, and then you go, what the hell are you doing, Crusader Kings? It explains like the dice roll was against you. You did not get a good dice roll, they got a good dice roll. They managed to hold you off a bit. But yeah, obviously sieging works kind of similarly. There's different sort of progress. And there's still dice rolls and things. And you can assault people, and there's still a lot of random look to it though. Like, do you inflict supply shortages? Do you mess with the water? But it's basically that progress statistic is how far you are in the siege. It can go up, it can go down as well. Because it went from 35 to 28, as you saw. But as you can also see, you know, we've got a lot of rebels kicking off everywhere. But I'm not surprised by that, because we completely sabotaged our instability to show off military stuff. But yeah, I've kind of shown off military stuff. But ultimately, the thing that happens after this is, well, let's just assault this to try and prove the point here. Because I have more men, so I might do okay. Okay, I won't do okay, but essentially what happens after this stage is you go here and you go sue for peace. And this is how you deal with things in this game, as opposed to, you know, it's a bit more clear here. Yeah, you have your war score, like you do in any Paradox Grand Strategy game. And it says whatever percentage, minus 1%, 1%, 100%, minus 100%, whatever it is you take. And obviously you can say, I want this bit of land, or this bit of land, or I want all your land. I can take everything. And you can annul treaties, and you can tell them to revoke cause, or return cause to you, or cancel vassals, or release nations. Or you can obviously have like treaties and say, will you be my vassal, or will you concede defeat, or will you trade power, things like that. Is that pause, damn it, game? And obviously, you know, based on your war score, you can say, well, I want this, or, you know, this, and at the same time, you can offer tribute back. You can say, well, I'll concede these things or whatever. If you're on the losing end. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers sort of the post-war stuff. And yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I've learned to experience and deal with in Europa Universalis IV so far. I mean, it's definitely a game worth playing. Don't come into it expecting it to be the exact same as Crusader Kings 2, but further along in time. I will say that much though. I highly recommend this game for what it's worth, because it's, in no fact, it's a Paradox strategy game in the first place, and once you sit down, you'll probably end up getting into it and becoming addicted and playing lots of it. And I mean, even watching other people play it on YouTube isn't really as good as my Let's Play or other people's Let's Plays might be. It's not the same, because things work out so randomly at times. It's got a wonderful element of just, this could happen, or this could happen, or what if. But yeah, I highly recommend this game, but if you've played Crusader Kings 2, don't come into this game expecting Crusader Kings 2. If you played, say, Victoria 2, yeah, you can kind of expect this game to be more like that. This is a very state-oriented as opposed to people-oriented Paradox game. It's definitely very different, but at the same time, it's still got a lot of the accessibility stuff that Crusader Kings 2 had. So there are definitely things that line up. Yeah, and definitely give this game a big recommendation to you guys, and say you should totally get it. But I think we'll X out here just so I can show an interesting little feature to you that I quite like, which is the yeah, let's resign. It gives you this nice history bit where it sort of writes down, like, oh, this is the war, and this is however what went, and there's like a big battle between this person that led your armies and this person that led their armies, and the numbers and how you won and things, and It still has the historical scores like it did in Crusader Kings 2, and it breaks everything down for you in terms of statistics and tells you what we had at any stage. But yeah, here's a nice loading screen for a second while it loads things. But yeah, guys, this game definitely gets a big, nice old thumbs up recommendation from me, and I definitely recommend you get this, whether it be that you could justify to yourself getting it for the £35 the £40 price range that it currently sets out, or whatever that may be in dollars. I don't know off the top of my head whether that's like $60 or $40 or whatever. It's definitely worth either picking it up if you can justify to yourself picking up a grand strategy history game like this now at its full price. It's worth picking up. If you wait till the sales and pick it up when it goes on offer inevitably, then definitely pick it up, because it'll be even cheaper and more worth it. But yeah, to summarise, recommendation, good game. If you played Crusader Kings 2, not entirely like that. If you played Civilization, it's accessible, so it's definitely a good step up if you want to evolve your strategy game to a grand strategy level. This is a lot more like Civilization than Crusader Kings 2 was. But yeah, thumbs up. That's the summary. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time for another Barrel Peak set. Or if you obviously want to go and watch some Europa Universalis videos, got that covered for my channel as well. But I want to stop rambling and add in more time to the video, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. So bye, guys.